Nigeria's public debt reaches 26.14 trillion naira. And total currency in circulation stands at 2.2 trillion naira in fourth quarter of 2019. Plus, global markets rebound amidst coronavirus concerns as first Middle East case of the virus is confirmed in the United Arab Emirates. You are watching Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. We are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Amina Nujaim. Thank you for joining us today. President Muhammadu Buhari has implored Nigerians to, as a matter of honor, develop a mindset that not only shuns corrupt practices, but at all times focus on the public good. He said audit in particular should not be seen as a threat by those doing the right thing in government, but a means of improving performance. The president stated this at the opening of the Conference of Auditors Generals in Nigeria. He said with transparency, accountability and good governance as the hallmark of his administration, auditors are indispensable if the desired objectives are to be achieved.
What may be missing is the will to properly deploy the power that you have. In which case, I will remind you that underperformance by auditors or ineffective audits contribute largely to governance problems. Auditors, therefore, need to decide not to be part of the problem. I expect your audit reports to be current and of high quality. No one in the government should be afraid of audit if they have done the right thing. I therefore urge you all to be diligent in your work. By doing so, you are not only improving the lives of citizens, you are also preparing the ground for a better life for the coming generations.
And with the death toll rising in China and thousands more infected by the coronavirus, there are mounting concerns that economies are receiving a blow. We will take this background report by Muplang Dakok on the impact of the coronavirus.
Global financial markets continue to fall as investors fear a worsening coronavirus outbreak, and the likelihood of the virus disrupting global businesses appears to be growing. Economic analysts say the economic impact of the coronavirus could be bigger in comparison to the SARS incidents of 2003. Based on their assumptions, real GDP growth in the first quarter of 2020 could materially drop from the 6.0% pace achieved in the fourth quarter of 2019, bigger than the 2% registered during the SARS outbreak of 2003. So far, travel restrictions are in place in around 20 cities. Many long-distance bus and high-speed rail services have also been halted, and reports say many businesses such as restaurants have chosen to close, and people are avoiding crowded places. There are concerns about the impact the virus will have in African economies as well. For instance, Johannesburg Stock Exchange plunged 2.6%, the steepest in 8 months, as investors seem to be clearly concerned about South Africa's companies' exposure to China. the coronavirus fear has also affected other markets on the global scene. Global markets have been bleeding this week, although most stocks brushed off concerns in early trading this Wednesday.
And to discuss the economic implications of the coronavirus and how Nigeria needs to take caution, we are joined by Sand Mba Kalu. Mr. Kalu is an executive director of the Africa International Trade and Commerce Research. Now, with the coronavirus so much in people's minds and the global community, there's a lot of talk of health implications. Should economies around the world be concerned?
Absolutely. Economy around the world should be concerned. The outbreak of coronavirus has been the highest so far. Remember SARS that broke out some years back. Then China was an exporting nation. And this time around, China is a country that its domestic economy is growing stronger and depends on the growth of China as a country. So the outbreak, countries should be aware. And remember, where it breaks out is a city that is considered as the economic city, political, commercial center of central China. So economy around the world should be worried about the outbreak.
Okay, you're talking about economies should be concerned. How will this affect trade with China?
Absolutely. You are aware some airlines have cancelled their trip to China. That is stopping people that have planned starting doing their business in China this year. Neighboring countries like Kazakhstan, India has cut down the level of economic travel going to China. The same way, most businesses are shut down now. So definitely people that depend have planned doing business with China this time, especially the city of Wuhan, will not do that anymore. So definitely it will affect countries and economy around the world. Mind you, if you look at the stock exchange across the world, they're all in red at the moment, and even while things are starting picking up. Even the president of China has said the situation is severe and complicated. That also sends some signal across the world.
You are talking about the equities market being affected. We have the Johannesburg Stock Exchange plunging early this week by 2.6%, the most, should I say, steepest decline in 8 months. So with commodities being affected, with equities being affected, what do you foresee happening to other investors?
Well, not all commodities are affected because gold is going up. Because people prefer putting their money in safe haven, and gold is one of the safe haven, and it had already been and it continues to be. Yes, definitely economies are affected. The stock exchange will be going down because China is a strong power. And bear in mind that with the trade agreement with China and America recently was supposed to, that there was an understanding in that agreement that should have helped America and the global economy, putting confidence and taking away uncertainty in global trade. That has been eroded with regard to the outbreak of the current virus, which there is no cure, as there is no vaccine in hand to that will address it.
Okay, talking about currencies, is there likely a possibility of the pressure on currencies across the globe?
Absolutely. Nigeria has some agreement with China. So majority of what we import comes from China. So the currency that should have gone and exchange will definitely be affected. And that is not the only issue. The issue also is because of no one really knows when it will come to an end. Most businesses, this is Chinese New Year, and most people, we're talking about millions of people traveling in and traveling out. That is money changing hand. That will definitely affect the currency across the world. So if we know what will happen tomorrow, as at this morning, we understand that 132 persons have been killed just by the virus, and nobody still knows. And it's a disaster, and we hope that it will be addressed soon than never.
Okay, you're talking about the gold doing very well in the commodities market. Now, the stocks market across the globe seem to be rebounding in early trading today. Is this like they have recovered, or is this like a short-term thing?
I believe because the Chinese government is putting a lot of effort, and as a matter of fact, WHO said China is open to international assistance, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in America has weighed in, so they're happy to support. So there is this confidence that yes, these things will be addressed, and even the African Union yesterday also put out a statement with regard to this effect. And what we are seeing and what we should see is African Union also supporting, and this. By the way, this gives us an opportunity for researchers from Africa to be able to provide solutions to this current crisis. We should not always see crisis as the negative side. There's only a silver lining in all these situations. So this, I believe, is one of those silver linings that Africa and other developing nations should take advantage of to support their own, because China has really done a lot to most developing countries.
Thank you very much for that answer. The next question that comes to my mind is, with the AFCFTA in sight, China is trading with a lot of countries. Africa is encouraged to trade with other countries and African countries. Is there a place for re-strategizing to make sure that countries rebound, absorb the shock, or so that some of these challenges can be addressed way ahead of time?
We all know that AFCFTA is a game changer for Africa, and AFCFTA is one of those policies, those continental programs that will liberate Africa from its dependence on foreign markets, especially development goods made outside Africa. So definitely AFCFTA is giving us the opportunity now to trade more with ourselves, to be stronger together, and as well as to be able to help other countries, because we see situations happening across the world, and Africa has always come to react. I believe with AFCFTA, we give Africa opportunity to then say, okay, now this is what we can do to help the global economy to do better.
And what can they do?
Invest in ourselves. Research and development should take preeminence. As a matter of fact, with the coronavirus with the coronavirus experience now, I believe researchers and scientists across Africa should come together with the support of the national government. And this is where Nigerian government should step in, really, because China has been good to us in the area of infrastructural development, giving us opportunities that before now we struggle to get. We believe that the government of Nigeria should come together and call scientists together to say, how can we address this? How can we address this? And I think that is what we should do.
Okay, with the coronavirus currently raging, economies are concerned, investors are anxious. By the time this situation comes down or improves along the line, do you see China in terms of recovery pulling out and not trading with other countries because it's in recovery? Because the same thing happened during SARS. They kind of went internal rather than focusing to other countries, and they were not now purchasing commodities from other countries. So do you see China withdrawing after this incident?
Well, I believe this is different. China of 2013 is totally different of China of today. China has really gone out. Remember the Belt and Road Show initiative that will help China connecting both the land, the sea, to China. So what we will see China doing now going forward is to they will open up to ensure that they engage other nations to deal with their local problem. Why do I say so? For the similar reason that this coronavirus came and they don't know what to do. China of all people asking WHO to allow international experts to come in and help them. Then you know that things are changing and things will continue to change, and China will continue to open up to countries of the world.
At this point, how can Nigeria protect herself?
Well, you know, I believe Nigeria can protect itself. The Ministry of Health has already said in the airport they're taking some measures, and not just the airport. You know, we also have our local issue, our Lassa fever, which about 700 is dead now. You know, we have our 700 dead. Surely we should protect ourselves in the border. We should also protect ourselves at the car parks. These are where majority of Nigerians use on a daily basis.
In terms of trade, how can Nigeria protect herself?
Well, the way Nigeria can protect itself is to build the internal capacity, not to depend on commodity alone to survive. If we can survive building our own, adding value to what we produce here, then we will be able to guard ourselves against external shocks.
Okay. Mr. Kalu, thank you so much for your insight. We have been talking to Mr. Kalu. He is the Executive Director of the Africa International Trade and Commerce Research. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
How is the Naira exchanging on the currency market as coronavirus fear lingers? The Nigerian Stock Exchange is set to launch its Growth Board at the exchange this week. The Growth Board will provide issuers the opportunity to leverage on the exchange for listings, raising long-term capital and facilitate liquidity in the trading of their shares. With a total of 41.5 million micro, small and medium enterprises operating in Nigeria, the launch of the Growth Board is designed to encourage the listing of growth companies and provide them with the cost-effective platform to raise the capital needed to scale, attract investors, enhance corporate visibility, and put in place a regulatory structure that fosters growth. And the Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index Wednesday dipped further by 0.91% to close at 29,110.90 basis points, with market capitalization at 14.9 trillion naira. Total volume of trade were 242.7 million, worth 4.5 billion naira in 3,556 deals. Zenith Bank, Unilever, Guarantee Trust Bank were the most active stocks at the end of trade. The gainers were led by Flour Mill, Nigerian Breweries and Oando, while MTN Nigeria, Guarantee and Unilever led the decliners. Up next is Global Market with Bosede Abel.
Global markets rebound in early trading of Wednesday, 29th January, as investors weighed concerns over the ongoing coronavirus outbreak that has left more than 100 dead in China. In Asia, the Hang Seng Index declined 2.82% to close at 27,160.63. Shanghai Composite 2.75%, while the Nikkei was up at 0.71% to close 23,379.4. U.S. equity futures had appreciated, giving investors a fresh focus as the coronavirus lingers. Dow Jones Industrial Average surged 187.05 points to close at 28,722.85. S&P 500 advanced 1.01% to end its trading day at 3,276.24, and Nasdaq Composite advanced 1.43% to close at 9,269.68. Stocks in Europe also advanced. DAX was up at 0.11%, FTSE 100 0.33%, and CAC 40 0.48%. Here in Africa, the stock markets had mixed figures. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 appreciated by 1.34%, Namibia's overall index 0.03%, and Ghana's GSA Composite 0.67%. On the negative were Kenya's Nairobi's All-Share and Tunisia's Tunidex.
Thank you, Bosede. Oil prices rose for a second day on Wednesday, recouping some losses after a 5-day rot on talks that OPEC would extend oil output cuts if a new coronavirus hurts demand, while data shows a decline in U.S. stockpiles helped steady prices. Brent crude rose 58 cents or 1% a barrel. U.S. crude was also up 1% or 55 cents. Financial markets that have been hit by the spread of the virus out of China are trying to assess the economic fallout, with the death toll rising to 132 and airlines reducing flights to China. British Airways suspended all direct flights to and from mainland China after Britain warned against all but essential travel to the country, and jet fuel demand has slumped in Asia as airlines have cancelled connections. And still talking commodities, soya beans propped up by 1.59% on the FX Commodities Index to close at 174.39 points, making its best performing commodity with a gain of 5.13% at 130,000 naira. The gains in prices witnessed over the past week was stimulated by an increase in the number of orders placed by bulk buyers of the commodity. Let's see price movement of other commodities on the domestic and international markets. And that's a wrap on this edition of Business Express. Please don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is @NTA News Now, #BizX. We value your feedback. Keep them coming. Join us again for another package. I am Amina Nujaim. Have a fulfilling day.